Welcome back. A bill aimed at broadening the scope and composition of dedicated industrial areas has been gazetted by the Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Rob Davies. Members of public have also been invited to comment on the Special Economic Zones SEZ bill and to support industrial decentralization. To tell us more about the bill, we are now joined by the Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Rob Davies. Good morning, Minister, and welcome.
Good morning to the viewers.
Minister, first of all, the bill talks about special economic zones. How does this differ from the industrial development zones concept that we have at present?
Well, the industrial development zones are one form of special economic zones. They are a form of economic zones which is orientated towards export industries which are located around ports or airports. In addition to the concentrated infrastructure, which has been the main focus of support for these areas, you get duty-free entry of inputs that are used in the production of products for exports. Now, there are also other kinds of special economic zones which worked in other countries, industrial parks, science and technology parks, and provinces have all got some projects or proposals around creation of zones which are not necessarily export industries per se. And I think that what this means is it means that we don't have a toolbox which enables us to proclaim or constitute special economic zones other than the industrial development zone model. So what the bill is doing is it's providing a facility for that, which can contribute to industrial development, also industrial decentralization, but it will also still permit the industrial development zone model to continue to operate.
Are those the key objectives of the bill?
I think those are among the key objectives. Also, we've had a lack of clarity about governance of the IDZs, lack of a dedicated fund to support special economic zones. So there's quite a lot of institutional tidying up in the bill as well.
What sort of comments would you like to see coming forward from the public?
Well, the public has until March the 22nd, and the DTI is taking roadshows out to various parts of the country. I think we're looking for some kind of input around the sorts of models that we might have, the sorts of projects that we might have in place, and whether the bill will cater for those. I think that's essentially what it is. And of course, people who might have expertise and specific knowledge about the operation of these areas as well, zones, we're looking for comments about those. But the bill is largely a framework bill. It will allow for the establishment of a board, which will be both advisory and also will receive and process applications which can come for a variety of forms of special economic zones.
The bill was gazetted earlier in January. What was the reception so far?
Well, I haven't got a report from all of the activities which have taken place, but I think that there's generally been quite a positive reaction. People recognize that we do need to tighten the governance and have a much clearer line of responsibilities between the operators, the provinces, the municipalities and national government. And also that I think that there is a recognition by a number of players that we do need to provide for broader models than the IDZs, while also allowing the IDZs to operate as well.
With the new piece of legislation, are we talking about incentives for industrialists coming on board? If so, what type of incentives are we talking about?
Well, we are. And the incentive package for the different models will still have to be developed. The Minister of Finance in the budget speech also talked about tax incentives, which we still have to develop as well. But at the moment, in the existing IDZs, there is an additional point which you can qualify for in terms of the Section 12I tax incentives. And then there is also the, as I mentioned earlier, the duty-free entry of inputs which are used in export products. But I think that the problem we have had is that we have from time to time as national government supported these projects, but there's been no regular incentive package, and there's been only available to one particular model.
Dr. Davies, at present, industrial areas are mostly confined to areas close to harbors and airports and not close to townships, if I may say so. Will this be the case in terms of this bill?
Well, the bill is exactly to allow for a broader model to operate. Not necessarily that it'll operate in close to residential areas, but it will allow, for example, if there is an industrial park, which I know a number of provinces have got, which may not necessarily be directly to produce exports. It may be partly to produce exports, but also things for the domestic market. Those possibilities will be catered for as well.
Minister, in his budget address, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan allocated a lot of money for economic services, laying a huge responsibility on your department. Let's briefly look at that clip from the budget speech.
As far as economic services and environmental protection is concerned, additional allocations of 15.8 billion rands are provided over the MTEF for economic services and environmental protection. The Department of Trade and Industry receives the bulk of this funding, 5.8 billion rands for the Manufacturing Competitiveness Enhancement Program, 2.3 billion rands for industrial development and special economic zones.
Minister, 5.8 billion rand for the Manufacturing Enhancement Program. Can you tell us a bit more about that program?
Yes, this is a program where we are trying to build on the lessons that we have learned from the incentive program in the clothing industry, for example, where we have been providing a support facility only for competitiveness raising programs in the clothing industry. And we've seen that small number of companies that took this up not only saved jobs, but they actually grew jobs. And we have a sense now that we need to build confidence among manufacturers, even in this difficult economic time, that the way they're going to survive and in fact develop is by investing in competitiveness raising. And so what we're going to be doing with the Manufacturing Competitiveness Enhancement Program is across a broader range of industrial sectors, we will be offering support only for competitiveness raising programs so that we can encourage manufacturers to continually raise their competitiveness and ensure the long-term survival and growth of their particular activities.
But how will the department use the money, that the 2.3 billion for industrial development and the development of special economic zones?
The money for special economic zones is for us to develop a series of incentive programs and also for the development of the special economic zones, and it's over the MTF period, and some of it will depend on the passage of this bill through Parliament.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Rob Davies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We've run out of time.
Thank you.